On July 15, 2008, a police station in Florida received a call from a distressed grandmother. She wanted to report that her granddaughter was missing. When the police asked how many hours have passed since you last saw her, the woman replied, 31 days.
My daughter's been missing for the last 31 days.
Why are you calling now? Why didn't you call 31 days ago?
I've been looking for her and have gone through other resources to try to find her.
And this is how the Casey Anthony case began. Caylee, a 2-year-old toddler, was missing, and no one had reported this to the police station for 31 days. She had been living with her mother, Casey, when she disappeared. The grandmother, Cindy, had no idea that her granddaughter was missing for a month. She had no idea why Casey, her daughter, did not tell her or report it to the police. But then she found Casey's car, and it smelled like there was a dead body in it. So she called the police and reported this as well. After finding out that her mother has reported the police, Casey called 911 and reported this herself as well. The strange thing was that she did not even sound worried about her daughter being missing for 31 days. She sounded like she was ordering pizza from a local shop and nothing more. After the call was over, she immediately went clubbing and partying. But this was not all that she did. When the police investigated this case and interrogated Casey, she said that her daughter was kidnapped by her babysitter Zenaida Zanny Fernandez Gonzalez. Casey even told the police that Casey worked at Universal Studios, so it was common for her to leave Caylee with babysitters. But both of these were lies. There was no kidnapping and Casey never worked at Universal Studios. The police arrested her immediately. When the police asked why she had not reported the kidnapping if it was true, Casey had no answer. Her behavior was very strange. Throughout the investigation, Casey never appeared in sorrow over losing her daughter. Based on her behavior, she was declared a person of interest in the investigation surrounding her daughter's disappearance. But because the body of the missing toddler was not found yet, no one could charge her with murder. The grandmother, Cindy, was hopeful that her granddaughter was alive. She insisted that police beat Casey to death if it means getting the information out of her on where she is hiding Caylee. The police carried out their investigation, but neither Casey broke her silence, nor did they find Caylee's body. On December 11th, the police finally found the remains of Caylee Anthony's skeleton. The little girl had been dead all along. Her remains were found in a wooded area less than a mile away from the Anthony's home in Florida. The person who found these remains said that he could tell it was a child's skull, and that he found a bag nearby where the rest of the skeleton was. This led to the beginning of Casey Anthony's murder trial, and during investigation, it was found that Caylee died from drowning. And the court also found that Casey was searching for terms like how to make chloroform on the family's computer. The grandmother repeatedly told the police that her daughter had murdered her granddaughter. But the court proceeds in its own way, and according to the judge and law, concrete evidence was needed that Casey had murdered Caylee. During a court session, Casey even accused her father, George, of abusing her when she was young. This accusation was denied by both her father and her mother. According to them, Casey had a good childhood, and they took care of her in every way they could. They said that they wanted to do the same for their granddaughter Caylee, but Casey always kept them at a distance from their granddaughter. The murder trial lasted for 6 weeks, and the most intriguing thing about it was that there was no change in Casey's behavior. From the looks of it, she did not feel sorry for that her daughter was dead, and she behaved like a true murderer during the 6 weeks of court proceedings. She never shed a single tear and always smiled around like a psychopath. When people observed her behavior, they were revolted by it. How could a mother not report her missing daughters for 31 days? How could a mother not cry when her daughter's remains were found? How could a mother smile around and pose for the cameras when her daughter's murderer was still at large? The backlash from the people was strong. The only explanation they had for Casey's behavior throughout the trial was that she really was the murderer. They wanted her punished for murdering her own daughter by drowning her. Besides, Casey's search history was evidence. Besides, Cindy's statement was also evidence against Casey when she said that her car smelled like a dead body. But when the trial ended, Casey was found innocent. According to the court, she was not guilty of murder. But before that, take a moment and please subscribe to our channel and like this video as it helps us create more content for you. Alright, According to the court judge, there was not enough evidence to charge Caylee with murder. But what of her search history and her mother's statement? Well, the court said that it could have been planted by someone to frame Caylee for the murder of her daughter. And what about the crazy way Caylee smiled and enjoyed publicity? For this, the court had no explanation. The people were enraged by the court's decisions, including the grandmother of Caylee. The only thing Caylee was convicted of were misdemeanor charges. For lying to the police, she was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Moreover, she was also charged with a $4,000 fine for a list lying offense. The local police protested to investigate better or to downright punish her. Anyone with working eyes could tell that the real murderer of Caylee Anthony was none other than her own mother, Caylee Anthony. Still, the protests were unsuccessful, and Caylee Anthony served about 3 years in jail, though she was sentenced to 4 years. The craziest thing was that the police stopped looking for the killer after Caylee was proved innocent. If Caylee was innocent, they still had to find the killer, didn't they? Most of the people claimed that Caylee had a good lawyer and that she spent time with him on occasion to get away with murder of her daughter. Caylee was released from the jail in July 2011 on good behavior. This again enraged the local people, and they held protests to demand justice for Caylee Anthony, who was brutally drowned. When Caylee was released from the jail, hundreds of these protesters were waiting outside, demanding justice. What happened next? Where did Caylee go? What did she do with her life? In 2016, when the popularity of the Caylee Anthony case died down, she started a photography business. Though she often said that she wanted to star in the cinema, she had neither the talent nor the background to do it. According to people, she couldn't even act like a mother, which she was, if her life depended on it. Sadly, her photography business was never picked up because people were still furious and said that she was the true killer of her daughter Caylee. After getting released from jail, she still resided in Florida. The legal team that was assigned to her supported her financially because no one was ready to hire her or work with her business. According to her legal team, Caylee had enough money to live, but not enough to really do anything. They said that she lives like an old person on a fixed income without much going on in her life, that she's bored, and she complains about boredom all the time because she cannot go outside in the world again. In March 2017, Caylee Anthony spoke to the people herself. She got in touch with Associated Press for the first time after her release from jail and gave a bunch of interviews. In all these interviews, she said that she does not know what happened to her daughter Caylee, who killed her, and she accused the local public of being cruel to blame her for her daughter's death. She even said that most people who are calling her killer are defying the court decision, therefore, they're criminals themselves. When she did not receive the support that she was hoping for, she said that she does not give a damn on what anyone thinks about her and never will. The worst thing was when she said that she sleeps peacefully at night even after all that has happened. "I'm okay with myself," she told the public. It was like the life of that innocent little girl Caylee had no value in the eyes of Caylee. But what became of the grandparents, Cindy and George? They were out of the picture for a long time after Caylee went to jail. They were grieving the loss of their little granddaughter and knew in their hearts, like the rest of the people, that Caylee had a part in her murder. But again, like the rest of the people, they could not do anything about it. So they just mourned little Caylee and dropped all sorts of contact with their daughter Caylee. According to them, their daughter was dead to them. They had said in multiple interviews that their relationship with their daughter was irreparably broken. George even said in an interview that he does not feel safe around his own daughter. "I can't trust her," he said in the same interview. But in 2019, something strange happened. Both the grandparents forgave their daughter Caylee. They said that they were ready to move on, and that starts with forgiving their daughter Caylee. The statement from the grandparents infuriated all the locals. To the world, Caylee is the killer of her daughter. If she was innocent, she would not lie with the police when her daughter's life was in question. But could it be that the whole family was in on the murder? The Caylee Anthony case is very strange. If there is anything clear, it's that Caylee definitely played a part in her own daughter's murder. Her behavior was not only strange, but also out of place. Most psychopathic killers behave the same way. They show no remorse for killing their victims. And judging from how Caylee behaved during her trial and in interviews, she definitely did not feel sad that her daughter was murdered and the killer was roaming free. People think that it is a case of a wolf playing the sheep. What do you think about this? Do you think Caylee was the killer? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to share this video with your friends and family.